Welcome to Shamblefest!
I'm Jess.
I'm Amber, and we are your one-stop weekly shop for news shambles.
We're a weekly WTF and current events comedy podcast. We drop episodes every Monday morning. Tune in.
Shamble on!
Dhani watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Dhani and John.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to Watching My Stories. I'm Dhani.
I'm John.
And we are here for take 2.
Yeah.
We recorded this entire thing a few hours ago. And thankfully, I decided to go in and try and edit today, which is Saturday, to get a head start on releasing it tomorrow. And it turned out I didn't have the mics going as the right input, and it was just awful quality, and we're trying it again.
Well, to be fair, the first 10 minutes were okay, and then we had something happen, and it kind of seized up. And then after that, we thought it was recording, and
it was just not correctly.
Right,
I panicked and I wasn't paying attention.
So here we are. We've had practice now, so this should be really good.
This is either going to be really good or really boring.
Yeah,
since we've done it already.
I feel like we've talked about it before. So.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
So here we go.
All right.
Take 2 on episode 15, I believe. Okay, so...
Hi.
It feels weird to talk about it again.
I know.
With so much enthusiasm. So a couple days ago, I saw Crazy Rich Asians.
Yes.
And
yes.
I have been dying to talk about it, which I already did earlier, but dying to talk about it still. I loved it so much. It was just so good.
Do you love it as much as you did 3 hours ago?
More.
Because 3 hours ago, you were pretty excited.
I am so excited. It was one of those that I didn't have, or I had expectations, but it wasn't what I thought. The expectations weren't what I thought. It was way better than I ever expected.
Good.
They sell it as a rom-com. It is, but it's a different kind of rom-com. It's much more of, I honestly feel like it's if not one of the most romantic movies I've ever seen.
It's a rom-com with a beautiful story.
Yeah.
The way
So
I understand it.
When people talk about romantic movies, I was thinking about this. A lot of times they come up with The Notebook, and there are some similarities. You know, in The Notebook, she comes from this hoity-toity family, and so the mother doesn't like. So Ryan Gosling. So the mom doesn't like Ryan Gosling. So then it's like, oh, are we going to stay in love and say goodbye to the family or not? Right. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what this is, but but it's so much better because we come into these two characters, which are Nick Young and Rachel. What was her last name? Chu. What's her last name? In her character's last name, and we come into them with they've already been together for a year, so they're already in love. They're heading down that path, right. And he decides he wants to take her home to Singapore for a cousin's wedding. And she's going to meet the family. And it turns out that she had no idea that he was like one of the most eligible bachelors in the world, and that he comes from this billionaire family that has all this old money in Singapore.
She did not do her homework.
She didn't. But that's also part of the loveliness of her character that and his, because when he was living in New York where they've been together, he wasn't living that lifestyle. That's not him. And
he wasn't flaunting it, and she wasn't
questioning it. Right, yeah. Exactly. Okay. So then it's, she meets the family. The mother doesn't approve. The grandmother doesn't approve. All the little hoity-toity girls that wish they were with Nick don't approve, and they're very mean to her. But it's kind of this character, Rachel's perseverance and grace and true loveliness that kind of gets her through it. And Nick has all of these other questions to answer himself. Does he want to give up his family for her? Does he want to give up her for his family? Does he think that she could evolve into this lifestyle if they stay together? Does she belong in this world? That sort of thing. It's just very lovely. And we're also in this kind of fantasy life of these super rich people.
Right.
So the clothes and the houses and just Singapore itself was so beautiful. I fell in love with it and I want to go immediately. And And like one of the most romantic moments in the movie is between Nick and Rachel, but it's happening during this wedding. And this wedding is so fantastical. It was beautiful.
Fantastical.
Is that not a word?
We'll go with it.
God, here we go again.
If you use it again, it's a word.
Fantastical.
I don't believe it's
actually... You use that word.
I do use it.
Okay, well then that's where I got it.
Okay, that's fine. But just know that
it's not real.
It's not an official word.
Oh my God. We're gonna change this to watching my stories was stupid. Hi, I'm stupid.
And I'm a dope.
That came too naturally.
Oh, I say that all the time because, I am. But...
So I have to explain this wedding for a bit. So it's in a church. The people walk in and one of the people says, did they import a jungle into this church? So there's greenery everywhere. And the little kids come down and then the aisle is just filled with like flowers and flower petals. And all of a sudden the aisle starts to fill up with water. And it's just kind of this babbling brook that comes down the aisle. And then everyone in the audience, congregation, whatever they're called, pulls out these sticks, and they're like these big curved sticks with like glowing butterflies and leaves and stuff on them. And so they're like arching over the aisleway, and it's just beautiful. And then the bride comes down and whatever.
And gets her feet wet.
Yes. And I was crying because of the wedding, but then there is this moment between Rachel and Nick that I was such a mess. I was an absolute mess. Okay. So I've fallen in love with these people. I've been wooed. I've, loved the fantasy life of all this money and what it gets you. But then you laugh so much. It's so funny. Everyone in it has great lines, but enter Awkwafina, who plays Rachel's college roommate. And she lives in Singapore. So when Rachel comes over, she meets up with her. And so she knows the ins and outs of Singapore. So she just, oh my God.
Wait a minute. She's a friend of Rachel's?
Yeah, they went to school together.
Rachel's from New York.
And
this girl is in Singapore. So when they go
she lives there,
So when they go over to Singapore, Rachel has somebody there that she knows.
Exactly. Okay. And who kind of tells her who Nick is, tells her who the whole family is. And it's like, you got to step it up to be with this family.
Gotcha.
Her dad is Ken Jeong. So those, and her mom, I don't know who plays the mother. The mother was just as funny. It was just, oh my God. And the brother, she's got a brother. It's
good casting.
Funny. I mean, oh my God. So I got to go through a bit of the casting. So Henry Golding is the main guy, Nick Young. Henry has never acted before. He is now probably in my top 10, if not top 5. I fell in love with him.
This is his first role.
Yes.
Okay.
He's also going to be in a movie that comes out in a few weeks called A Simple Favor with Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick.
Yep.
But that's like a darker role. So I'm excited to see him in that. I will watch him in anything. I am I'm on board.
Well,
fully.
you already wanted to see that movie. So now there's
another
incentive.
reason. Exactly.
Yep.
Constance Wu plays Rachel. Constance is so funny on Fresh Off the Boat. To me, she's the only reason to watch that show because she cracks me up. The other people I knew, obviously, Awkwafina, Ken Jeong. Michelle Yeoh plays Nick Young's mother. She's wonderful. She's wonderful in everything we've seen her in. So that was good. What?
Sorry, I just had a flashback to that basketball player, Yao Ming, where everybody says yo, and he's like, Yao.
Oh.
Yo, yow.
Was that a commercial?
Yeah, it was a commercial.
Doing another commercial?
I think it was a MasterCard or something.
Okay.
Totally doesn't matter. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Just had a flashback with Michelle Yeoh.
And the person who plays Nick's sister, Astrid, is Gemma Chan, and she is on Humans. And since the day I saw her, I've just always thought she was the most beautiful person on the planet. And
I believe it's pronounced Humans. Sorry.
Maybe you shouldn't have had that ice cream.
I'm all sugared up now. I'm like a 5-year-old at a birthday party. Whee. Sorry, go ahead, please.
So Gemma Chan is in it. She's fantastic. I just love looking at her. She's so beautiful.
Oh, okay.
So then I just want to talk about John Chu, the director. He's this young kid. He's done quite a few things. He did the G.I. Joe movie. He did some of those the Now You See Me. He did some Step Ups. He is slated to do the movie version of the musical In the Heights, which is one of my top 5 Broadway musicals. So I'm very excited to see that. And it is a beautiful movie because this is not a movie I would have gone to see in the theater. Rom-coms and stuff like that. I don't feel like I need to go through the horrible experience of people coughing and all that stuff. And I went to support this movie that's made up of an entirely Asian cast for the first time in over 25 years. So I wanted to support it. And it turns out it's so worth seeing on the big screen because it is really beautiful.
Cinematography.
The colors and like I said, the place in Singapore, and they go on this bachelorette and the stag do, and they're on these islands, which is beautiful. And it just really was worth it.
Okay, cool.
I also had a great experience in the theater because there is so much laughing. The audience was so in it. We were laughing, we were crying. There's one point where someone's telling off this dude, and we're like, oh, like it makes me feel like I can come out and say stuff, and clapping at some points. It was so much fun. And I've been looking this weekend, and the audiences are the theaters are full. And I think it would be just so much fun to see this with a full theater. Yes, everyone's making a big deal that it is an Asian cast, and that's great, and it's wonderful, and there are a lot of jokes in there that I think a lot of Asians are getting and laughing harder than I was laughing. I think it's wonderful, but it's also just a story about love and family, and there's no difference. We're all the same. We all have the same jokes and, things and quirks with our families and stuff, and so if anyone is stupid enough to be sitting back and is not going to go see it for whatever reason, there's no reason not to.
Well, the world is full of dumb people who make bad decisions for dumb reasons. So just because it's an all Asian cast don't let that stop you. It sounds like it's really worth it.
First off, the cast it's so wonderful, and oh my God, I just can't believe how much I loved it. I don't know if it's because it's not that I had low expectations. I just thought it was going to be another typical rom-com.
It sounds like you didn't know what to expect.
I just expected it to be a rom-com. Like, she's getting into this rich family. That's going to be funny. But it was so much more. Yeah. It really was. I am
intrigued because it doesn't follow the usual formula of the two people kind of meeting each other and getting to know each other. Will they, won't they get together? That sort of thing.
Exactly.
Now it's like it's later in the relationship, and now will they, won't they stay together?
Right. It's
because of the family dynamic that he has, and
that thing in the rom-coms where we do like the meet cutes. We like to see how they meet. But you're talking throughout the course of a movie, you might get a couple weeks in or a few weeks in because they have to, there's one's always with someone, and, we're always cheering on someone to cheat on the other in order to get together in a rom-com. That's always the formula. So.
Oh, yeah. I never really thought about that.
Yeah. They're always with someone else.
Oh, we're awful people.
Yeah. So, and then it ends like the movies always end like when they're getting together, when they finally decide I'm going to get together with you, the movie ends, and we just assume the happily ever after. This one, because it bucks that formula, we come in, they're already in love. We don't need to know how they met. We don't need to know how their life is every day, in New York. We see, like I said, it's the most romantic movie I've seen because there is this bond there from the start. And it's just, how is that going? How tough is that bond?
Right.
And how strong is it? And so it's wonderful.
Cool.
I would go right now. I actually looked, and I was looking to see what seats were open tonight because I thought I might go back and watch it. Yeah. So, now I'm having to redo this.
That's a pretty big endorsement from Dhani, because to go out after, this late in the day.
I usually go to the 9:00 movies. So for me to go at night.
Just to be clear, that's 9:00 a.m.
in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Yes. You're right.
9:00 p.m. You'd be wiped out the entire next day.
I'm not doing it.
Next day. Doy.
Okay, so
Sorry.
I'm giving it 5 stars. Crazy Rich Asians.
Cool.
Go see it right now.
All right.
Okay.
What's next?
Next is Tag.
Yes.
The movie based on a true story with John Hamm, Jeremy Renner, Ed Helms, Hannibal Buress, Jake Johnson, Isla Fisher, Leslie Bibb is in it. There's a couple other chicks in it. This is loosely based on a true story. There's a group of guys that they do play tag. They're at this point, I think they're in the 50s. They do play tag every one month a year. They live all over the country, and this is just kind of the way they stay in touch and
Sure.
keep their friendship going.
Yeah, It's one way to do it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So in this movie, it's 2 days before the end of the month where they play. And the catch is Jeremy Renner's character has never been tagged since they were kids.
Uh-huh.
So he is this untaggable person. And so Ed Helms comes to everyone and says he wants to retire. This is going to be his last year. We've got 2 days. We got to get him.
Okay.
So that's where everything happens. They go back to their hometown where Jeremy's getting married, and they're making all these plans to try and get him. The cool thing about the way the movie's done is that it's very funny. All the guys are funny. But then every time someone's coming for Jeremy Renner, everything goes slow-mo, and you start to hear his inner thoughts.
All right.
So as they're coming behind him, he'll see the reflection in the vase, and he goes, "Can he not understand? I can see him. He's going to the left. I'm going to go to the right." And we hear his entire inner workings as to how he's going to avoid getting tagged. Uh-huh. And it's just kind of cool because it adds this little like Bond-esque thing in this comedy movie. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it ends up just being about these guys playing tag, which sometimes is silly. I mean, I like the times I'm giggling is when 3 of them are just standing in a triangle tagging each other over and over again. They're just going tag, 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 tag. You're it.
You know, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I don't know that there's a time when grown men are playing tag where it's not silly.
Right.
So I think it's safe to say it's silly.
It is, but it's also then on the deeper level, it is about friendship. How close are you? Even though you do this once a year, do you really know each other? And do you want to keep it going? Look, the story lacked a little bit. But that's not the fun of it. If you're going to watch this, you're watching it for the cast and you're watching it kind of for that silliness.
Sure.
You're not looking for, a deep, thought out
Don't expect
movie.
this to be well represented at Oscar time.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm giving it 3.5 stars because of that. Okay. It's fun. Like, if you want to watch it, I will watch it again. And when it comes on the movies, I'll probably watch it.
So I'll watch it just for Jake Johnson.
Yeah.
Because Jake's my guy. He just cracks me up just looking at him.
Yeah.
And then the other day, we kind of happened upon The Hangover that was on TV. And on one of the movie channels, we kind of watched most of it.
Yeah.
And it refreshed just, kind of how good that movie was. And Ed Helms and Zach Galifianakis, how funny they were in there, and then John Hamm was in
Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Yeah, with Zach.
Yeah.
So that just kind of made me think of all the tie-ins there to that group that's in that movie, even though Zach's not part of it. It's just that's a really funny group.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Right? And Hannibal Buress, I mean, it's just a funny guy.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Him and Jake Johnson have some of the best lines in the movie, and I had a smile on my face through the whole thing and through the credits.
Any good ones you can remember? Am I putting you on the spot? Okay.
Yeah.
Just good ones.
Yeah, just good ones.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm giving it 3.5 stars. It's worth it if you like the guys. If you don't, you're probably not going to get a lot out of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
The next movie I watched is Adrift with Shailene Woodley and Sam Claflin.
Okay.
This is based on a true story of Tammy something or other. I just forgot her last name. I'm so sorry. And Richard. This was back in the 80s, and I believe they were sailing out of Thailand, and they were hired to sail someone's boat from Thailand to California. And I don't know if it was halfway through, but a hurricane hit and a squall rolled the boat, however you call it. So the movie focuses more on their love story. Mm-hmm. It goes back and forth between being adrift on this boat to then how they met, then it'll come back to being adrift, and then go back to them, like falling in love and telling each other they love each other, and back and forth to where they got engaged.
Right.
Tammy ended up being adrift on the boat for 41 or 42 days before she was found. Richard did not survive, spoiler alert, if you haven't read her book or know anything about it. But in the movie, they play like that Richard did survive and that he's on the ship with her and helping her. Like that he can't move, his legs are broken, he's got broken ribs, but he's, helping just talk her through getting through all the stuff.
So that's happening during the movie, right? The progression of the movie, and you don't know until
You don't know until later that she's actually on there alone.
Okay.
Which was a tough moment, even though I knew that he didn't survive and none of that happened.
Because you knew it from the book, or you knew it from the story of the book? Okay.
You know, one of the things that she has said over and over throughout the years was that it was Richard who got her through. She heard Richard's voice the whole time telling her to get up, telling her to fix that part, do that, figure out where you're going to go, all that sort of stuff. Like, she would use a sextant to navigate. She decided she was going to try for Hawaii instead of coming to California. And she was literally adrift. I mean, she had a little sail, jib, whatever they're called. I guess it's an emergency one that like you stash in the boat. And
so the boat actually capsized?
Yes.
So did it right itself, or does she spend 41 days on a capsized boat?
No, it was right. It righted itself. That's not right.
No,
I
that's
don't know
right.
how to say that. Oh,
no, it righted itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds weird if you say it slow. If you slow down for it, it's going to sound weird.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, she woke up. She got underneath. He told her to go under, and so she was inside when it rolled, and she woke up, and it was full of water, and she came out, and he was gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that happened in real life.
Yes.
That part.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and at the end, they show Tammy, and she's on a sailboat, still sailing, still doing her thing. Yeah, so this movie focuses much more on the love story than it does on the struggle of being adrift. I've enjoyed other movies that show the struggle more, and I was expecting that more.
Right.
I guess, again, it's just your expectations of what you want or what you think it's going to be versus what it is. So I'm giving it 3 stars simply because of that. I've seen kind of, I don't want to say better movies, but the movie I kept thinking of the whole time, because it just came out a few years ago, was All Is Lost with Robert Redford, and he's alone on a boat, and same thing happens, and he just has to, figure out how to save himself, which doesn't happen, but...
A spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Robert Redford dies during...
That movie, to me, I liked better, but again, it's 2 separate things. This one was really about the love story between these two and how, I guess, love gets you through.
Okay.
Period.
And it had our girl Shailene Woodley.
And Shailene Woodley.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's usually worth the price of admission.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah.
For sure. I wouldn't tell people not to watch it. It's definitely worth watching. And yeah, she'll get you through anything. That's fine. And it's not that it was a bad movie. It was good. It's just, I think when I'm rating things, I usually think, how many times am I going to rewatch this?
Right.
And this one, I don't really need to see again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So what else is on your list?
The next one is a Netflix movie that just came out yesterday called To All the Boys I Loved Before.
Nope. I'm out. Don't know of it.
Yeah. Okay. So
sorry.
It just came out on Netflix yesterday, and
I announced my non-participation.
Yeah. And it's a high school movie. It's a formula we've seen before. The best one, in my opinion, was Can't Buy Me Love with Patrick Dempsey, back from, it might have been late 80s, I guess, maybe 90. And so it's the thing of, something's going on with people. They decide to have a fake relationship to make people jealous or some sort of reason.
Oh, okay.
And like in Can't Buy Me Love, it was this girl who needed $2,000 to buy an outfit. Patrick Dempsey lent her the money in exchange for her pretending that she's his girlfriend, because he was like this nerd and she was the popular girl and blah, blah, blah. So always by the end, they end up falling for each other. So
yes, that is how that story goes.
Yes. Because again, what we learn from rom-coms, not just that you have to cheat on the person that you're with or whatever it is. Also, if you spend enough time with someone, you will eventually fall in love. That's what every movie, even
it's
your
a
movie,
tale as old as time.
Yeah, your movie, 6 Days, 7 Nights, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Same thing. They hate each other, but if you spend enough time with people, you'll fall in love. I mean, if you look at most movies, that's what it's always about.
Yes.
So anyway, this movie stars this girl, Lana Condor, I think is her name.
Okay.
She plays the lead, Laura Jean, and she was so great. I really fell in love with her in the first few scenes. She was just really kind of light and normal and like a kid, like a teenager. She just was great. I really liked her. And the premise of this one, why it's called To All the Boys I Loved Before, because she was kind of like, she would always read romance novels and stuff. And ever since like middle school, whenever she had a crush on a kid or something like that, she would write them a letter. And she just had like this box of letters that she wrote to all these boys that she had a thing for over the years.
Okay.
So she's at high school. She's now a junior. And one of these boys walks up with the letter in his hand and is like, that's really nice, but not going to happen.
The letter that she
had written like years before in middle school.
But she never gave them to anybody?
No.
Okay.
So then all of a sudden all these other guys start showing up. So somehow all the letters got out.
Oh, boy.
We find out it was the little sister that actually sent them out.
Little sisters, man.
Yeah.
They're almost as bad as big sisters.
Yeah. So so she talks to one of these guys that got a letter and explains what happened. And he just broke up with his girlfriend and he's hoping to make her jealous. So he suggests that they pretend that they're in a relationship. Mm-hmm. So that way all these other boys will stop bothering her and blah, blah, blah. So they write up a contract and they do that and they end up falling for each other. Okay. So it's a very typical story. We've seen it all. The one thing I loved about it, and I think that we're seeing a lot more nowadays, is that these lead female characters in these high school movies are not like wispy, little, frail, kind of dainty girls that I feel like we kind of had back in the 80s movies. Uh-huh. They're strong. They still get their heart broken and they still, are emotional.
Love is still love.
Yeah, but they're strong and they stand up for themselves. And now this one was based on a book written by a woman, and the screenplay and the director is a woman. So it definitely has a much stronger female presence than most of them do. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm giving it 3.5 stars. It's on Netflix now. It's definitely worth it. It's not something I'm going to go back and watch, but I think if I were in high school, I probably would have watched it a bunch over and over again.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was good. Very enjoyable. Good cast. Oh, what's his face plays her dad.
What's his face? Need a little more info. I can help you.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding, Sex and the City.
John.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
Corbett.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
He plays her dad. He's funny. He's a gynecologist.
I'm done for the show. That's it. Whenever I pull something out by memory, that's a big deal.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's it for movies. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about TV.
Sounds good.
Very good.
Hey, Brad, do you know what I hate?
Minorities?
No. I hate it when I'm at dinner parties and I feel like everyone's a little bit smarter than me.
Yeah, and I just don't have the time to read up on things. Well, that's a lie. I do have the time. I just want it to be easier.
You know what's easier? Podcasts.
That's right. And we've got a podcast, don't we?
Yeah, and the whole point of it is that we do the hard work for people.
We find the most interesting international news stories and discuss them in a fun and relaxed way.
Probably should mention the name.
Good idea, Jackie. Shooting Breezes. And you can find us just about anywhere. But head over to shootingbreezes.com to find out more.
Okay, we're back and we are ready to talk about television.
Okay.
All right. So the one thing John can actually participate in this week is that this morning we just watched the finale of the Great British Bake Off.
Yes, we did.
So this was an old season. We talked about it earlier. This was a season from 2012 in the UK that had never aired on Netflix or aired on PBS over here, and PBS finally played it. So it was new to all of us over here.
Right.
And we finally got the finale, and it was 3 men in the finale, James, Brendan, and John. Mm-hmm. I wanted Brendan to win, and I was disappointed.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Brendan does not win. I was okay with it. I thought it was going to be Brendan. I thought it was going to be between Brendan and James and John in third, and of course, John took it.
Yeah.
So
it's a bummer, but...
What is in a name? Victory.
Yeah, and the great thing about this show is that almost always, no matter who wins, we love them. What happened?
You blew right past my joke. I said, what is in a name, John? Victory. Because I have victory. I get victory I have victory. I get victory. I experience victory all the time. Okay, I just proved my point that nope.
Yeah, so as I blew past it, let's do it again.
Turns out that was a good call.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Wow. All right.
I think we just need to reiterate that if you're not watching the British Bake Off, you definitely should.
You really should.
Go on Netflix, watch the 4 seasons that are on there. They're it's the most enjoyable show in the world. You'll cry every time. You love all the contestants. And even though you're watching the old crew with Mary Berry and Mel and Sue, you know, we loved Mel and Sue. We loved watching that.
Yeah.
The new season in the UK starts on the 28th, so we'll see what we'll be able to watch of that.
And that's still a good show.
Oh, yeah, I like it.
different.
Yeah, I mean, I love Nolan Sandy, too, and Prue. So, you know, we'll see.
But this was really good. And the Great British Bake Off is just a good show because it's a competition, but it's a very friendly competition. Not like we have here in the States where everybody's a prick to each other. These people genuinely care about each other and want each other to succeed.
Exactly. And they're all amateurs.
Yeah.
They're not already professionals. And honestly, as far as the other 3 being replaced, people only care about what Paul has to say. So it doesn't matter who you put around him. No one values anyone else's opinion.
And I'm sure that's why Channel 4 made the decision they did. So
well, it was up to him. He could have left, but he followed the money.
That's right.
I don't blame him.
Yeah.
Why not?
But he could have said, nope, I've got to have these guys come with me.
Yeah. But
anyway.
He's not that nice.
Turns out.
Yeah. So that's it. So the Great British Bake Off ended this morning.
Yep.
And or last night really. And
this morning for us.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yep.
Okay.
What's next?
Next, I watched an Agatha Christie adaptation on Amazon Prime called Ordeal by Innocence.
Dun dun dun.
It's in 3 episodes, so it was basically a 3-hour movie, pretty much.
Oh.
So I don't know anything about. I haven't read any of Agatha Christie's stuff, so you know it was a surprise to me. But this one takes place in 1954 on Christmas Eve. It looks at the Argyle family. They're in this huge country estate in England. Bill Nighy is the father. The mother is killed on Christmas Eve. And they have 5 kids who we find out have all been adopted over the years. And everyone's a suspect. The housemaid, the kids. One of the kids gets arrested and is convicted and ends up dying in jail.
During the movie? In 3 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then the rest of this, it shows us kind of what's going on currently, which is basically like, I don't know, a year down the road or something. And Bill Nighy is getting remarried to Alice Eve. And
Bill Nighy is getting married to Alice Eve.
Yeah. Okay. And
yeah, I mean, with what's going on in the real world, I guess I can't say anything.
Yeah. So then it flashes back to that night and where everyone was and what everyone was doing, because we've been shown all of it and they all look like they could be guilty. So we start to find out the real stories of what was going on, and then we find out who actually did it. This was written by Agatha Christie, the screenplay, and it was directed by, they're both females, which is great. Again, supporting women making film. And I guess what I've read is that they changed the actual person who done it. From the book
to the 3-hour movie.
I think from what it sounds like, from what I read, they changed the person.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm not going to give it away on here because I think it's worth watching. It was, like I said, it was just kind of watching a movie, but you can watch it in 3 parts. It's a good cast. Matthew Good is in it. Who else was in it? Oh, Ella Purnell, who's kind of, she started in that show Sweet Bitter that I watched at the beginning of the summer.
Okay.
And I really liked her. So I think I'm going to like her in everything I do, or everything I see her in. So yeah, it's on Amazon Prime, Ordeal by Innocence. Definitely worth checking out.
So everything we spoiled on here, you don't want to spoil this?
Yeah, because I feel like there's no real point to it then. Because the only point of watching this is to find out who did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if it's spoiled, I wouldn't watch it if I knew who did it.
Okay, then we won't spoil it.
Yeah. So that's that. Then I just kind of wanted to talk about, TV is pretty slow right now. August is slow. Probably the first couple weeks in September is slow. So I just wanted to talk about the few shows that are on and how great they are. Mm-hmm. The first one, I don't know if it's great yet, but I'm watching Lodge 49, which is on AMC, and it stars Wyatt Russell. I'm still unsure of it. It's one of those that I might wait a day or two to watch, and then when I watch it, it's interesting. And
Okay.
I think the thing is that I've figured out is there's no real like villain. There's no kind of like his character's kind of flawed, just as in he doesn't have a job, he doesn't have a place to live. He comes across this lodge of like some kind of fraternal order thing. But all the characters are just interesting. Everyone in this lodge, there's men and women, they're interesting, and they each seem to have these little stories going on. And that's kind of what the show is really about. It's not about, at least right now, it doesn't seem like it's about here's the villain or here's the guy who's bad, but we want to root for him. It's more about all these characters are kind of down on their luck, like all of them.
Okay.
And for one reason or another, they've got to pull themselves up. And so we're just kind of watching it. And I don't know, it's an interesting show. And I think we've had 3 episodes so far. So I'm not really ready to say like, oh, it's fantastic and wonderful and everyone should watch it. But it is interesting and I'm not giving up on it. So that's where I stand with that right now.
It's a glowing endorsement right there.
It's interesting. And Wyatt Russell's fun to watch. You know, he's good. So it's worth it. So the other shows I just want to talk about, Better Call Saul is back. It's still genius and worth it. And we're getting more into where, you know, we're seeing Gus Fring back and Mike Ehrentraut and the start of their relationship.
I gotta ask an embarrassing question. Who are those guys?
Oh, from Breaking Bad.
I figured they were.
So Gus was Giancarlo Esposito,
the manager of the chicken shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mike was the guy who he ended up going into business with, who Walt ended up going into. The older guy, he was in Beverly Hills Cop.
Okay.
That's where I always knew him from. Okay.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But it's just, you know, we're getting close. We're getting close to where, you know, Saul Goodman is Jimmy. And he's still Jimmy, but we can see those times are coming where he's going to become Saul. And so it gets really exciting. As good as the show has been, like we have not needed him to be Saul yet because the show is just that good. But we're getting there, and that's exciting for Breaking Bad fans. So,
right.
You know.
So Vince Gilligan hasn't lost anything.
Not a thing.
Okay.
It's just wonderful.
Good to know.
The Affair, we've got the season finale tomorrow. I thought it was ending after this season, but it turns out there's one more season that's going to be the final. I'm not sure that I'm going to watch it next season. We will see.
Right.
Spoiler, Ruth Wilson's character is dead. And I only watched it for her and for Pacey. And it'll have to depend on what Pacey's character is doing, who is really Cole on The Affair. It'll have to depend on what he's doing, because the other characters I don't really care to keep watching. But this has been another great season. I'm really looking forward to the finale tomorrow, because so much has happened. It better be a great finale. So we will see.
Okay.
Also want to talk about Sharp Objects. I don't think I've talked about it on here yet.
I think you mentioned a couple weeks ago it's Amy Adams stretching herself a little bit.
Did I? Okay.
I think you did.
So there's a few more episodes left, 2 or 3, and it's been great. And it's based on a book, a Gillian Flynn book, and I didn't read it, so I have no clue what's happening, and I'm along for the ride, and it's been a fantastic ride. I'm so excited to find out what happens.
Right.
Like, I'm really, really intrigued. And it's a great character that she's playing. She's definitely playing against her type, and she's doing it, and it's great.
Okay.
And Patricia Clarkson, saw her on stage in Streetcar Named Desire.
Yeah, so the only thing I can really add is I did happen to catch about 15 minutes of it one night when you were watching it. And the dynamic between Amy Adams and Patricia Clarkson, and
it's awful,
her, Amy Adams' stepfather, who's married to Patricia Clarkson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so enraging.
Intense. Yeah.
Oh, it's just enraging. It's just...
Yeah, she's a horrible mother who openly admitted to Amy Adams that she's never loved her.
Yeah, so that pretty much, you know, it's not my show anyway.
Right.
But that sealed the deal that, no, I don't need to put up with that.
Yeah, you'll never watch it. Yeah,
I won't.
It's too dark.
But
it's very good.
Okay.
It's really great. And, you know, everyone in it, the girl that plays Amy Adams' sister is so good. And then the girl that plays Amy Adams as a young girl, she was in the movie It. and she's just really, I like that girl a lot.
Right. Okay.
So that's another one we've got for a few more weeks. And then Queen Sugar, I think we have one or two more. Everyone knows Queen Sugar is my favorite.
Yep.
It's been a great season. I'm just looking for a happy ending to the season. I hope we get. Charlie has definitely been through the ringer this season.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even list, but there's got to be at least 8 things that would have sent me to the hospital bed or something, and she just keeps on going. She's just so strong. They're all so strong. I just love all of them, all the women on the show, especially because they're just I lose words when I talk about this show because it's so good, and I can't really, there's nothing I could say that I think someone would go, oh yeah, I'll go watch that. You kind of have to start it. And honestly, the first episode of this show in season 1 is one of the most beautiful and gut-wrenching, and it introduces this family in such a way. If you watch that first episode and you don't get hooked to the show, then I can't help you. I don't need to be friends with you.
I think you have a hard time talking about the show because you use all your words during the show. Because when you watch it, I can tell.
Yeah.
I can overhear you. And
crying. I cry every episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Ralph, Angel, and Blue, they have me crying every episode. This past episode, oh my god, I was just a mess. Yeah, so Queen Sugar, we got a couple more. So we still have a good couple weeks left of these great shows in the summer, and then in September when the regular shows start coming back, we will get started on those.
Right.
So we will see.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, so that's TV in a nutshell. So since John really didn't watch a lot this week, I wanted to kind of give him a chance to get more involved. So we were thinking about talking about maybe, picking someone and what's our favorite movie of theirs. And it came to me that tomorrow night or Monday night is the VMAs, and Jennifer Lopez is getting the Video Vanguard Award.
Yep.
So it got me thinking about her movies. And so I thought, let's pick our favorite of hers.
Okay.
Yeah. Why don't you go first, or we can run through a bunch of them and then both of us can name our favorite?
Well, as is usual, I only have a couple on my list because I only know of a couple.
Yeah.
I only know a couple by name. I'm when you say them, I'll go, oh yeah. So the ones I know, The Backup Plan,
right?
I think, and that's actually I think my favorite of hers.
That's a great. So I have to reiterate my favorite scene in that movie, but then there are more. But when she first comes to Alex O'Loughlin's farm and he's making like this big vat of chili, and she's like newly pregnant, so she's got this huge appetite.
Yeah. And
there's this basket of bread that looks so amazing. And excuse me, but I can't eat bread because I'm gluten free. So when I see a basket of bread like this, it just it looks so good. And she just starts taking pieces of the bread and sopping up the chili and shoving it in her mouth. Mm-hmm. And she's she starts making like a chili sandwich at one point, and is just and he walks in and she's covered in this thing. Like she just helped herself to this chili he was making. It cracks me up every time. And it's just one of those great scenes. But then also we were talking about the women's group that she joins with Melissa McCarthy.
Yep.
And the birth scene that they go and they watch this woman give birth in the inflatable pool. It's one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen from start to finish. It cracks me up every single time.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite.
And it's a crier too. I always cry.
Well, yeah. I mean, those types of movies, there's always a lot of feels.
Yeah. So her rom-coms are huge, right? So Monster-in-Law, watch a million times.
That's the other one.
Yeah.
Right?
It's so great. And that is a full cast, and I think really Jane, like you said, Jane Fonda and Wanda Sykes.
Yeah. I actually watched that one more for Jane Fonda and Wanda Sykes than I do for J-Lo, but she's still really good in it, obviously.
Yeah, totally. The Wedding Planner with Matthew McConaughey, I've watched a million times. Yep. Love that movie. Made in Manhattan with Ralph Fiennes. Watch that all the time. Yeah, and I watched In Living Color as a kid, and so I knew her as a fly girl first.
Yeah, I did not.
And she was just, she was so great. And then I think Selena was the first movie I ever saw her in. Mm-hmm. She was in Anaconda after that. Neither one of us saw that.
No.
Did you ever see Out of Sight with George Clooney?
No, I did not.
I only saw it once back then. I know it was really good, but I don't know why I've never watched it again.
I've never watched it, so if you want to add that to our list.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, so there's been a few others that she's done, and her appearances on Will and Grace are always funny. She was on How I Met Your Mother once. That was a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite movie of hers is Enough with Billy Campbell, where he's the abusive husband. And it's just a great movie from start to end. It goes through that whole journey of her being abused and then finally her kicking his ass and killing him. And I just love the character because she's super smart, even though she's perceived as being less than.
Yeah, that's probably my least favorite of hers because I don't need that much tension. I don't, and it's not because she kicks his ass at the end. That's the only redeeming value of the movie, right, for me. But just I don't like all that struggle and abuse, and it's just not my thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But it is, like, it was just on this morning and I stopped and watched it. I will always stop, and especially if it's at the end, I will always watch it. I love it. I just love it.
I have a real
Such an
problem if I
asshole.
come in on a movie and somebody's being really mean to somebody else.
Oh, I don't.
Especially if it's several scenes in a row or keeps coming back. It's like, no,
Yeah, I don't have that problem.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
But on top of all her movies, also we should talk about all her music. I love it. MTV was just playing. They had like a 2-hour deal yesterday where they were just playing all her videos. And every single one. Love them. Love her. Wish I could have seen her in Vegas. But I'm looking forward to her performance on Monday because she should have. I mean, they usually give these people like 10 minutes to just perform. And I'm really excited to see that.
And I think she's 50 now, right?
I think she's 50 or 51.
Yeah, score one for the 50-year-olds because she's still...
Oh, my God.
Not to objectify her, but she's still gorgeous.
She's gorgeous and, flawless. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just very, very well kept.
Yeah. No.
Kept great care of herself.
She's never drank. She's never smoked.
Yeah,
that'll do it.
That did it to me. That's my problem.
Yeah, drinking Pepsi.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
now.
Yeah. So, yeah, and she's got another movie coming out in a few weeks called Second Act with her and Leah Remini, which they're best friends in real life. So I'm looking forward to watch them.
Yeah, that's still fun. Surprising to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
I guess Leah Remini's got to be somebody's best friend. So why not J-Lo?
Yeah, I guess so.
May as well be J-Lo.
That's right.
So.
Yeah, so I guess that's it really for this week.
Okay.
That was a lot. I'm tired.
We're doubly tired because this is the second time. But.
Yeah, we cut off a lot, which is kind of unfortunate. We had a lot of good things in the first version, so I'm sorry if this one was boring, but you can't remake the magic, people.
That's true. That's true. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Yes. So, same old housekeeping. Please rate and subscribe to our podcast. Leave comments if you can.
Yep.
Check out our website, watchingmystories.com. There's a link to our Etsy store on there. There's also a link to all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow us. And there's a link if you want to be on the podcast and talk to us about anything, or if you just want to hear our opinions on something that you're watching, let us know.
Yeah.
We will definitely cover it.
Absolutely.
That's it for this week, you guys. Hopefully next week will be a lot smoother.
Yeah, thank you so much for hanging in there.
Yes, we appreciate it.
We certainly do.
All right. Until then, I'll be watching my stories.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good week. Bye.